So you have a band here on your knee, and essentially what you're doing is trying to stay tall, pushing that foot down into the floor. You're going to lift that knee up in front of you. All right. Now on paper, that sounds like a great exercise, right? You're going to be strengthening your hip flexors. That's going to help you drive your knees even further, and it's going to improve your stride length on paper. However, in reality, that's not how we move, and that's not going to be efficient. Yo, what's going on YouTube? So a quick search above in that search bar for running training is going to yield a ton of results. You have people that say that lifting and resistance training is the best thing for you because it helps you strengthen your body and improve your stride length. Others say that core training is the best thing for you because it helps you stabilize your spine and it decreases your chance of injury. And others, they want to get really down in the depths and they want to talk about your gait and how important your foot strength is so you have good balance. All three of these elements of training are important, especially if you're a runner. However, that's not what I want to talk about today. Today, we're going to talk about how the body moves, all right? Specifically, a thing called reciprocal inhibition. Here's an exercise that I've been seeing lately that definitely does not take into consideration that reciprocal inhibition. All right, so you see I just pulled this out of my pocket, so it's not adequately set up, but we'll see what we can do. We'll make do with what we got. So this is a knee drive, I think that's what they call it. So you have a band here on your knee, and essentially what you're doing is trying to stay tall, pushing that foot down into the floor. You're going to lift that knee up in front of you. All right. Now on paper, that sounds like a great exercise, right? You're going to be strengthening your hip flexors. That's going to help you drive your knees even further, and it's going to improve your stride length on paper. However, in reality, that's not how we move, and that's not going to be efficient. What I mean by that is just take the actual movement for what it is. You're lifting your knee up and placing it back down in the same place. Okay? That's not how we move. You don't lift your knee up and put it back down in the same place. You're not going to go anywhere. How do we propel ourselves forward? Well, it starts back here. It starts in your hamstrings and your glutes. These are the initiators of the movement. You push off the ground, and what that does is that creates potential energy in your hip flexors. Your hip flexors take that potential energy and turn it into kinetic energy as it drives up in front of you. Okay? So it's not this that creates that movement. It's this that creates the movement. So you want to strengthen your hamstrings and your glutes as well as your hip flexors, preferably at the same time. Okay? So this exercise is going to do nothing for you. Further demonstrate that, I'll have this band here again. Doing that knee drive exercise is essentially like doing this. All right, you have one side that's stable and the other side is pulling. All right, you can't really generate that much force that way. You see it's kind of lax. It's still lax in the middle even though I'm pulling on it. Now, if I'm pulling from both sides, I'm creating a lot of potential energy that should turn into kinetic energy if I were to let these snap. I'm not going to let these snap, but you can imagine what would happen if I did. So you want to work both sides so you can create way more energy than if you just worked one side. So how do you do that? How do you get stronger? By working both sides. Well, it's with a simple exercise that I'm sure you're familiar with that's called a lunge. You're going to start with one leg forward and one leg back. You're going to bend that back knee, drive that knee into the floor, and as you do, you're going to be strengthening and lengthening that hip flexor, engaging that hip flexor as you engage that front hip, okay? So it essentially simulates the muscles that you need to be a better runner. Now, if you want to simulate running even more, you're going to make it dynamic, all right? So you're going to drive that knee down, you're going to hop up, and you're going to land, putting that other knee down towards the floor, and do it again, all right? So a lunge or a dynamic lunge is way better than that knee drive exercise that I showed you. So if you want to improve your running, make sure that you're working both sides of your body, working the concentric as well as the eccentric. So hopefully that brought you value, especially if you're a runner. If you have any questions, feel free to write them down below in the comment section. Of course, I'd love for you to continue watching this channel and seeing our new videos as they come out. So click on that subscribe button so that you can be notified when our next video is released. All right, thanks so much for watching, and as always, keep good company.